Stan and Gabby, two Villa legends here in Walkabout today. It's been about 10, how long since you joined Villa?
11 years.
No, since you joined Villa.
Since 2006. So.
Geez, a lot more than 10. Did he stand out when he came, Gabby?
You know what, he stood out because for me being younger and obviously watching football, watching the SPL, I knew him as a player, you know, how talented he was. That curly hair stood out as well, that bright blonde curly hair. So it was exciting times to be like, wow, what are we signing this player? You know, getting him to leave Celtic to come to us means we're kicking on. And from the first day he'd come in, we just seen the talent, you know, and he made a difference in that midfield from the start.
And did Gabby stand out when he went down, Stan?
Yeah, straight away. He was the gaffer favourite. He's the dad and son, but no. He was hungry, he was fit, he was strong, he was fast. I mean, having Gabby and the team, we couldn't fear anyone. Anybody from the big teams when they come and play with his pace, urgency, I mean, we could hurt anyone. Because, you know what, for such a young player, he knew where to run. He had a good partnership with John Carew, which they managed to explore the space in the best possible manner. And you know what, being part of the team when somebody could get you out of trouble, and he got us out of trouble for many, many games, you know, you can see that he had that straight away. You know what, he stands out, not in the games, in training, because the way he was playing, that's the way he was training. A lot of people sometimes question, you know, is you working hard enough? He was incredibly work rate, because he knew that to stay in the team, to play, he had to score goals, but he also had to train well. And he was the heart of the team, you know. His jokes and his smiles, he keeps the dressing room going, especially when we were losing games and when we were in trouble. He's always there. He knew the club, and you know, seeing a young boy with such a talent breaking through, it just give you a good hopes at what we can achieve together.
Nice to hear, Gabby.
Yeah. First person to say that.
Yeah. We played football together last night, so he managed to squeeze. No, we drew the last minute. He scored.
Yeah, last second, the equaliser. Well, I think it was a minute overtime I played until we scored, to be honest. But yeah.
Gabby's doing the rules and the time and everything.
And the referee.
Yeah, the referee.
And what was the O'Neill era like? Because that Villa were flying, absolutely flying.
I think for me, growing up a Villa fan and coming through the academy, I remember like being a ball boy for games and working in games under the O'Leary era, and the stadium didn't feel busy, the stadium didn't feel like they were entertained. And I feel once Martin come under Randy Lerner, new owner, it was like a new lease of life for the club, of like, oh okay, we've got an owner with money, we've got a manager, you know, who's done so well at Celtic. So it was like a whole new change, new training ground that was nearly built as well. So it just felt like a new era, and luckily for me, I was just breaking through, so I was part of that. So I mean, for me it was exciting times. You knew there was money to spend, you know, to afford Stan's wages and Stan's fee. So it was exciting times, and I felt it was a bit dull until Martin come for a few years.
And it was one of your best goal scoring runs under Martin. Why did you think he had such an impact on your game?
I think for me, when I broke through, I was like nowhere near the finished article. I was raw, even from when I made my debut, quick, but finishing wasn't there, the first touch wasn't there, the heading wasn't there, the scoring the left foot wasn't there. But I just learnt season by season under Martin, and he was sort of patient with me to be, you went 6-7 games without a goal, and maybe Marlon Hare would come on and scored, you still started the next game. So I was like his son.
Mazza was never scoring.
I know.
But it was like having a dad figure of like, when times were going tough and maybe some of the crowd were a bit like, okay, is it time to come out of the team? He'd still play me, and then the goals would come. So it was a bit of a father-son relationship, and he just felt comfortable with his man management skills.
Martin was really interesting manager. Very simple. I mean, in Gabby, he saw something that the team needed. He needed that urgency, speed that we can count on, and Gabby could offer that. I don't think Martin was worried about if Gabby can finish, but when he gets through those chances, he'll finish them. Even if he miss one or two, we know that you have plenty of chances for him to score. And you can see him from game to game. Gabby was getting stronger. He was getting more confident because it was not pressure really from Martin.
I think as well, Stan, he loved young, quick players, and because I was so quick, he knew that maybe if I missed a lot of chances, I'd still get the team up the pitch. And I feel maybe when you come in, you had like Juan Pablo and Gal, you had maybe players that weren't as quick. So at that stage of the Premier League, it was important to have like a lot of pace in your side. So maybe me running and running out of play with it sometimes might have got us up the pitch, and then the midfield and defence can press up. So I think he was just obsessed with like youth and pace at that time, Martin.
Yeah, do you remember the Chelsea game when he played you wide?
Yes.
In the half time.
Yeah.
I mean, we played Chelsea, and our biggest defeat then, I think 7-1 we lost. Yeah, and I think he sacrificed Gabby. He was playing in wide. He wanted to chase Ashley Cole, and at a half time he just said that I don't care. I won't change my style, even if we will lose by 7 goals. He should have never said that. But then you can see that Martin O'Neill realised quickly that he can't sacrifice him. We can't have Gabby go and defend and look that way. We needed him to look that way, and the sooner he sees space, the sooner we play the right passes, you always get at the end of it, and that's why his goal scoring record was outstanding.
And what was Martin like for you? Because you were with him for a long time at Celtic, came down nearly 9 years under him.
9 years. I knew Martin since my Celtic days. His managerial style was not any surprise for me. I knew what to expect. I knew what he brought me in for. I remember when I was signing, he was talking about the excitement of Gabby, bringing the new young players that they're gonna give energy, they're gonna give legs to the team, and we're gonna play fast football. And I knew that with his style and the way he managed, he will be able to attract players, and that's what he managed to do.
And then there was after that was a rough couple of years for Villa. But what do you think of them now? They're flying now under Emery.
Yeah, I think for me, the owners coming in, like the Premier League now it's all about money. The owners have pumped a lot of money into the club. They've give Unai Emery money to spend as well. But even last season when he come in, the squad was a very good squad. Wasn't doing as good under Gerrard, but he got them playing good football. And for me, when I watch Aston Villa now, they look so organised. Like it's hours of training, it's hours of videos, it's hours of knowing exactly what position you have to be in. You see him screaming on the sideline, your players aren't doing a certain job. And I think that's how football's changed for me now. As a player, you go out there, there's no free rolls, there's no running out of positions. If everyone doesn't do their exact job, you'll concede a goal, defensively as well.
Regimented.
Yeah, so the coaching styles now are really impressive.
Yeah, his CV, especially his European experience as well, with all his honours, he can definitely put a team together. He's got a good identity of what he wants to do, what the players. I think the discipline is really good there. He demands high intensity football. He demands for them to play on the front foot. I mean, we've seen some players. I mean, example Matty Cash. Now you can see him. He's going into the goal scoring position every game. So you can see that he's not really worried what happened behind. He's like he wants everybody on the front foot, pressing high, and it's something exciting. And it's good to see because the new owners have spent, like as Gabby said, a lot of money. But now in the current football, if you want to compete with the big ones, you have to spend.
I think as well now with football as well, you look at centre halves, and with centre halves we played with maybe.
Just get the ball away from the goalkeeper, get it away from the back, and let the front players in midfield do the job. Now the centre halves have to come out with the ball, make the right pass, play from the back. If you can't play from the back now as a centre half, you're going to struggle in the Premier League. So I think the game's changed a lot now as well.
Yeah, when you first came to British football, Stan, at Celtic, was it tough for you coming over, young Bulgarian, not much English? And is it true you worked in a burger van to learn English for a while?
Don't give him any bullets. Don't give him any bullets. You won't hear the end of it. Yeah, I actually did. Obviously, when I went to Scotland, the language barrier was really big problem for me.
With the accent too?
Yes, it was. But I had a friend who tried. he tried to help me to learn the language, because I understood very quickly that if you can't communicate, if you can't be part of the dressing room, if you can understand the problems of your teammates, of issues that happens around the club, that the club will kick you out. The club will not give you opportunity to do it, because you with those guys every day, you have to communicate, you have to understand every single problem, you have to understand what is demanded from you, you have to understand the club, the way the club is operating, and I had to do it in a different way, and it took me a little bit longer than I expected, but obviously even being around the burger van has helped me to understand a little bit of life in a different way.
What's your favourite thing from Burger Van?
Specifically
that one.
Double beef with fried onions and a lot of ketchup.
Gabby?
I've got to agree with him there. Yeah.
You have to.
Well, it's different now. Like now, you can't eat that kind of stuff. What was it like back in the day?
Who said that?
Who said you can't?
Okay, well, fair enough. I can't imagine that Carland. He's a big boy. He's ripped. But back in the day, what was the culture like? Like the dressing room. What was it like in the Villa dressing room?
It was incredible. I mean, the heart of the team was, Gabby, Ashley Young, John Carew. Those were the players that are keeping the dressing room alive. They were playing different pranks. There was always something happening, a buzz. Before the game, after the game. So even when we lose game, it was always fun. We understood where we stand. We knew what kind of characters we had, the ability to win games. We knew that we can bounce back straight away. But those boys were just on the front foot all the time, everywhere on the pitch and off the pitch. So you couldn't take your eyes off it.
What was the best prank? Go on, Gabby. I know you got a couple.
You know what? The changing room was like, we are still kids. A lot of you's in your 20s. You're still quite immature. So that time before you go out to training it was prank time. You had to be on your feet. You had to be aware. There was Stan wasn't there at the time. He'd gone. There was a kid called Nicholas Hellenius, striker. He used to come in some rascal clothes, and Paul Lambert was the manager at the time. And basically, you had your lockers with your code. So it's your own fault if you don't lock your locker.
Yeah.
So you close in the safe if your locker's not closed. So we had this rascal T-shirt. So we all got it out, and we all signed it. And then stuck it to his locker, and he'd come in, he was fuming. And then Paul Lambert used to always come in the changing room, try and get involved with the banter. And he's gone, yeah, it's a rascal, I'm going to sign that as well. So he signed it in front of him, and he was fuming this player. And but that's what it was like there. If you left your trainers out, you'd have a shower, you go and put your trainers on, they're stuck to the carpet. So this boy's just causing carnage, a playground sort of vibe. But I think you needed that. You needed to come into training and you weren't safe with your stuff, your clothes, your belongings, your car. If you left your keys out, will be moved down to the bottom of the training grounds and left there, the keys under the tyre. So it had that fun feeling as well all the way through. But then obviously when it was time to train, you'd concentrate on training and then run in and see if your stuff's still there.
Did you ever get caught?
No, listen, I had to be the sensible one. I had to be on my toes.
There were certain players though you wouldn't do it to. You knew the respect. The older players you wouldn't do it to. You do it to players that could take it.
Yeah, is there anyone you do it to and they'd hit the roof?
Not really.
Take it well.
I know someone that didn't take it well was Fabian Delph. Him and Shay Given always had banter together. And then the one day Fab lost his head and Shay had a tablet for everything. Bad knee, bad calf, bad nails, everything. All these tablets in his wash bag. And the one day Fab had enough. He just emptied all his tablets on the floor in the changing room. So Shay waited to the last game of the season where we'd parked our cars in the training ground and got on a coach to the away game. So sometimes the players wouldn't get their cars then for maybe 2-3 days because it's the end of the season. Shay got a raw fish from the canteen and put it in his boot. So it's a hot day, hot weather in May, yeah. So anyway, Dalford didn't get his car till probably 3 days after the season finished, and he's driving back to Leeds and he's like, what's this smell? Hey up out. He couldn't believe the smell in his car of the fish that had been in the heat. And then he was trying to find out where Shay lived and that, messaging the group. Shay's just laughing at him. And like, imagine that. So you got the whole summer, you can't do anything. So that was the biggest one because
get him
a
back?
fish. I don't think he did. No, I don't think he got him back for that.
He left.
Then
No, Fabian. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it might be the season he left. Yeah.
he left.
that's why. That's why he done the
That's why he
U-turn.
never-
So imagine a fish in your car in that heat, a raw one. So that was the worst one I've seen.
Yeah, fair enough. With international football, Stan, 105 caps, won Bulgarian Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Do you ever just wish Berbatov just gave it a rest? Because he won 7 out of the next 8. Just if he wasn't around, you've got how many? Probably all of them, no?
Yes, no, don't give that. Gabby think there were 105 games for Bulgaria equals a 1 for England. And listen, it's a great honour. It's a great honour. As a young kid, you always dream to play for your country, and I have managed to play 105 times, which for me is great. I'm still holding the record. I hope that somebody break it, because that's what the records are for, to somebody to break it at some point. At the moment is really difficult, and I'm gonna hold it for quite a few years. The looks of it, and you know what? It's a great honour to be a record holder in your country, and people talk about it.
And Gabby, you were flying, and only the 3 caps. You reckon it was just injuries and just timing, just because there was a lot of goals.
I think at first it was the standard of the strikers then. You know, you had Rooney, outstanding. You still had Michael Owen at high level. Emil Heskey was a player that played a lot under Capello. You had Darren Bent was flying with goals. Carlton Cole was doing well. I think I'm missing some strikers out. Crouchy. You know, you had Defoe. They're all coming as there's so many that like the competition then. So even when I did get into squads, it was like, oh, you didn't get on. You know, and after a little bit, it was like, you go in and you're knowing you're probably like 5th. So you're not going to get on. It's not like now where they might say they take Kane and 1 more. Then they might take 4, but you know, only 2 of these are going to get appearances. And then some squads had to pull out with injuries. I didn't want to be like injured for the Premier League when we're fighting to get in the top 4. As bad as it sounds, that was more important for me. You know, like me going away with England and training and risking getting injured, or rest under Martin O'Neill for two weeks and like do a bit of training and get your injury sorted, and you're fit to go again to fight for the Champions League places. Maybe I did favour some squads of like pulling out to favour Villa, you know. So 3 caps, proud, you know what I mean, to play for England, but definitely should have been more.
Yeah. You said then staying to train with Martin. Would he be both your best ever managers? That you played under, just all things considered.
Yeah, he would have. Listen, I've worked with a lot of good managers, but Martin for a longer period of times for me, you know, we had a great understanding. I knew what his demands are, I knew what he expects, and if you don't play at your highest level, you would not play. You would not play. And probably Gabby can say the same thing, because you know what, you're talking about Gabby goal scoring records, and we playing well, but everybody knew if you look at the history, Martin will play with the same team, same team.
But he knew though, didn't he? Martin, same team, same subs. He'd come into the change room before the game. I wouldn't read the names out. He'd have a sheet of paper and say same team, same subs. So imagine you didn't make the bench the game before. You like, don't even read my name out as one doesn't even get in it.
And we would be going. Steve Watford was the manager. Like, where I'm playing, but where is that? He said, you know what to do.
But what was good about Martin was that like sometimes in football you can get a lot of players that are good in training when there's no pressure, and then going on a pitch for the 45,000 that might be giving you a bit of abuse because you're not playing well and crumble. So he didn't really care about the players that might have turned up in training. It was like training was to keep your legs going, and then perform on a Saturday was where he was more interested in. So you might have had players that were probably doing better in training, but he'd give them a chance on the weekend and they weren't performing when the pressure was on. You know, I won't name names, but there was a few players like that. So you'd see a lot of the time it was the same team, same 11, and maybe some of the seasons we probably were a bit burnt out, you know, for playing every single game, when maybe now you'll see a lot more rotation of certain players.
Yeah. And now, post-football, you have your coaching badges. Do you think you're into management anytime soon?
No.
Fair enough. That's that. Next question.
No. Listen, I've tried. I was assistant to Tim Sherwood when Gabby was still playing, and I went under 23 as well. and I've just found out that it's not for me. It's not for me. I've been away from the family for a long time. I've taken a different direction, more education, more administration side of football. So for me, it would not be coaching, and I've decided that a long time ago. And it's definitely no.
Gabby, your face Talksport always up popping up on my Twitter.
Am I positive or negative?
I prefer to speak. I know, yeah, but you're everywhere. You're always on it. Are you enjoying it? Do you enjoy the stick from the fans?
Honestly, I loved it as a player.
Yeah.
I think like when you see me as a player and you saw my celebrations, I'd always shush the opposite fans and wind them up, and that goes into my punditry. Like, obviously, you have to take it serious. You do your research and you give your opinions, but you can throw little digs in now and then. I like to say Wolves are favourites to go down every year. That seems to rattle their fan base.
You think they'll go again?
Yeah, every year I'll just say Wolves are my favourites to go down because they get so angry, the fans. But that's a bit of banter that I have with it as well, because it's a radio. You have your serious parts, you have your fun parts as well. So I didn't think I'd do it. I don't think that the Brummy voice was allowed on radio or TV, but I enjoy it. Now I'm doing it, and got some good mates that work there.
Has anyone ever rang in and then they've kind of embarrassed you, put you in your place, and you'd be like, oh.
There was a fan, I think a Wolves fan, phoned up about a month ago, and he went on a rant, and I'm just like, you have to be careful because they video it now. It's all live on YouTube, so you can't laugh too bad. But I couldn't stop laughing because he was proper losing his mind, and I'm just like, yeah, but last season you lost 6-1 to Brighton away, and they're just like winding you up a bit. And he's like, you weren't even that good, and you O'Hara, you cost us, you sent us down twice, 2 relegation. He's losing his mind, and like obviously, you can't on the radio, you can't swear, you can't, like, do you know what I mean, be abusive. So you sort of like calm down. I was like, I think his name was Mick, and I called him Mickey. So I was like, Mickey, calm down, Mickey. You know, just making him more angry.
Yeah.
So then, like, he was ranting for ages, but I don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
And I think he tweeted something afterwards and he was laughing about it. But it wasn't that bad. But it's nice to have that fun and that rivalry. You know, whenever, like, a local team loses, I'll be like, they're really bad today. But if Villa lose, it'd be like someone else's fault, a ref's fault. You know, try and, like, sit on the fence with Villa a bit, but other clubs are getting it.
Yeah, and Stan, you do a bit of punditry, so you sometimes on Scottish football.
Yeah.
Enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Just get me out of the house. So the wife had enough of me. Listen, I enjoy it. It's completely different. Gabby's doing a lot of the radio, some of the TV, and he understands how everything works. And as much as you have to have the serious part, you have to have some fun side of it. End of the day, it's not just work. You have to smile. You have to take abuse sometime. But now with the social media, you know that people have their say. They can say whatever they want, and sometimes you just have to understand that. At end of the day, you know what? We are there. We try to do the best we can to do the job properly. Some people will have bad time with their wife, with the, work. So they'll try to give you as much as they can, and you just have to be patient. You have to understand that. But if you're in that kind of line of work, you need to understand that you have to be very patient with some people.
Yeah, and just before we let you go, we were with your former teammate James Collins a few weeks ago, and we asked him to ask you both a question. For you, Stan, he said, no question. He just wants you to know you're the most lovely man in football and he loves you. For you, Gabby, he said he wanted to know why he could hear your voice more now than when you were next to each other in the changing room.
Because he didn't shut up, Junior, that's why. Him, Dunny, Warnock, Luke Young, their little clique, Hutton, they didn't give anyone a chance to speak, that's why. But no, good lads. They were big personalities in the changing room. I'm sure the stuff you've done with them, they've got some stories for you, but good lads, good players, and I enjoyed playing under them.
And his second question for you was the old cross-country runs with Gerard Houllier. There's rumours about hiding in bushes, hiding under divots and coming back up at the end.
You know what?
No, it wasn't in bushes, he was under the 4G.
I really struggled from a young age with like long distance running because of my slip disc in my lower back. From a young age.
So
Never.
That's
Don't trust
I haven't got the records, the medical records for it.
So it's one of those ones.
No, but me, Darren Bent, Managerial Coker, there were certain players that struggled with like the plod along 4K, 5K, 6K runs. We were sort of sprinters, so when we done sprinting, I'll be the first doing the shuttles or sprinting. But then plods and cross-country runs I hated. My lower back would feel like, like someone's hit with a hammer. So the one season I remember doing these runs with, Robert Devin, was his name? Robert Devin. He was the coach, the fitness coach that had that problem with France. Remember in the World Cup, was it?
He had the big
come
time
on,
with the,
you have to be ready for
What year is
that.
that?
Yeah.
But he done these runs all the time, these pre-season runs. And at one time it was funny because in the corner of the training ground there was a little hiding space. I remember hiding for a lap, and then the other players would go around, and I was sort of hid. But you get away with it. That was the last year you could get away with it because of the GPS.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They come up on the screen and you're like 10 minutes behind. But I remember doing that once, and that was hilarious. The boys would run past, I'd be like, shh. And they never found out. So that was a bit of fun. But I just knew what worked for me. And them long plods, I'd be out for 3-4 days with lower back, like pain, and the medical records, I'll get them out. They've got dust on them.
Saying that, in defence, it's every Tuesday we're doing the run. So we'll play Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, and on Tuesday you will be a 5K run straight off, without warm up, without anything, for time, and everybody will go. I'll question Nigel's sprinting abilities. Nigel, I hope you watch.
But I think in the end though, they let me do like a lot of sprints. Like 60-metre sprint, stop, 60 metres back. To get your fitness that way, not always the long distance. It didn't work for like Benty, other players as well. But what I noticed when I was retiring was like, these young lads can run. I don't know what it is, this generation. They're all flying around, breaking records for like 5K runs. That's when I knew my time was up, when these guys were like close to lapping me.
We're with Ray Parler in a few weeks. Have you got a question for Ray?
Yeah, how good was Bobby Pires for Arsenal? Because when he came to Villa, he was outstanding. He was the nicest man. He was the player with the great ability. What would your suggestion be for Robert Pires, and how good he was?
Gabby?
My question is, Ray, you seem to go out drinking on a night, and you go and pick your car up in the morning by running 5 kilometres. Have you ever passed out in the morning running to go and pick your car up?
Perfect.
That's what he likes to do. I don't know how he does it, though. He'll go out and get drunk, leave his car at the pub, and then run in the morning 6K and get it.
Still now?
Yeah, he still does it now. This is now that he does it. Not when he was playing, now he does it.
Because we both played last night. We could hardly move our backs are sore, and knees are sore.
Stairs seem too hard to get up nowadays after a game of football.
Oh, boys, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.